Take out a pen and paper right now and write this stuff down if you're not taking notes right now. I like to have 20 to 25% equity, but really 20% is like my minimum that I like to have in a real estate deal. Now, there are 3, maybe 4, I'll call it 3.5 ways to get that equity in a property. And again, equity is the difference between what a property is worth and what you owe on it. So if it's worth $100,000, you owe $80,000 on it. That means you have basically 20% equity. So how do you get that equity? Let me give you 3.5 ways. Number 1, you can buy equity. What does that mean? It means that you put a down payment. Like if there was a $100,000 property that was for sale, it's worth 100, it's for sale for 100, you buy it for 100, and you put $20,000 down payment, you now have a property that your mortgage is $80,000, it's worth 100, you've got 20% equity. Great, you bought that equity with your own money. Now, the second way to do it is you can find equity. You find equity when it's like you just happen to find a really good deal. You found a property worth 100 grand and you only paid 80,000 for it. How did you find it? I don't know. You did off-market real estate deal hunting, or you knew somebody who knew somebody who was going to sell it. That's finding equity. That's really hard in today's market. It's very hard. What's more easy to do in today's market, not always easy, but it's easier than finding it, I feel like, is the third option. You can make equity. How do you make equity? Well, imagine you found that same property. It's worth $100,000 if it was really nice, but you found it for $50,000. But you had to put a lot of work into it. So you had to put $30,000 of work into the property just to make it worth 100. So let's do that math real quick again. It's worth 100 when it's all fixed up. You bought it for 50 and you put 30 into it. What does that mean? How much money do you have into the deal now? $80,000. So you now have made that 20% equity without having to put your own money into it. Now that is the basis of what we call the BRRRR strategy, the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. That's why we like the BRRRR strategy, because it is a way to make equity. Now, I don't want to go in depth on BRRRR right now. We've got a million videos on it. David Green even wrote a book called Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, Repeat. But that's the idea there, right? Is that you are taking a property and you're making equity. Now, what's the halfway, the fourth way to get equity? Time. Over time, properties tend to go up in value, and over time, the mortgage tends to get paid down or does get paid off, which means over time, the longer you own property, the more your equity grows. I have properties I bought 15 years ago now that I have paid off, and I now have a bunch of equity, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity. I'm a millionaire because I have equity in my property that grew over time. So those are like the 3.5, I guess you'd call it 4 ways to build equity. So did you like this? Was that good? Was that helpful? I hope so.